starting. Oops. Some practicalities. This webinar will be recorded, and the recording video will be available in our YouTube channel and also in our i4Trust community. So if you need it, you can back to it and watch again. We will we have a Q&A session by the end of the presentation, but during the presentation, if you have questions, you can write in the chat, and Margarita, my colleague from Funding Boss, that is with me today, supporting us in some technical aspects and so on, will dynamize by the end and organize the Q&A session. So, with no longer delay, this is the agenda for today. Today we are the three partners of i4Trust. At the beginning of the first, we divide the webinar in three main sessions. The first one will be led by Juanjo Hierro, is i4Trust project coordinator at Fireware, and she will explain and introduce i4Trust project and how the SMEs, European SMEs, can boost their business around sharing of data. Then will be my turn. I'm Rosa Villarón. I'm the project manager at Funding Boss. I will explain and make an overview of i4Trust Open Call and how to apply. And the third one is Rajiv from iShare Foundation, and he will introduce the i4Trust mentoring program and what i4Trust offers and how the selected experiments, the benefits for the selected experiments. So Juanjo, the floor is yours. Do you want to share your screen, or I share?
Has to give me, yeah, I can share my screen, but I think someone has to give me permissions. Oh, okay, so you are going to, yes.
I wanna, you have permission to share screen.
Do you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so let me put this in presentation mode. So now you should see my presentation, right? So, well, so we are here today in this webinar targeted to SMEs who we hope will find this interesting and may decide to go and apply for the i4Trust Open Call. Well, with my presentation, just want to give you a very brief introduction about what i4Trust is and what might be a big differential. There is a lot of hype around data spaces, you know, particularly in Europe, because it's considered a centerpiece of the data strategy in Europe. And well, I think the good news and what I think we are bringing as a distinguishable aspect is the fact that we are bringing software that works and that can be actually used today to create the kind of data spaces that will boost development of innovative services based on data sharing. Actually, i4Trust was born with a very concrete mission. It's not just about technology. We intend to boost development of innovative services that are built around sharing of data involving multiple participants who can create new data-based value chains and this way improve their processes or support the smart decisions in the corresponding organizations, and all of them benefiting from sharing data with others. How we envision this to happen is by means of bringing a technology framework that actually participants of any kind of domain can use to create data spaces. This is data spaces for data sharing. We will give a very high level overview about that. And the kind of values we that are in our DNA is first of all being able to support trustworthy exchange of data and enabling participants to exercise sovereignty on their data, but do it in a very effective way and in a way that is common to any kind of domain, and that therefore bringing support to something we find essential in data sharing, as it is the ability for actors to share their data and take advantage of data others are sharing, no matter if they are operating in different domains. So we are talking about city, sharing data with the ports or with logistic companies, the farm, changing data with the weather forecast services, all kind of factors sharing data and taking benefit out of it. And very important, all based on open standards and open source technology that will lower barriers for data sharing. Well, what is the data space in general, which is the fundamental concept we aim to support, is a decentralized data ecosystem where participants are sharing data and sharing data under very well-defined terms and conditions that they can trust will be preserved when they share the data, and all of them will benefit from that purpose. Typically, this means software that each of the participants will use to connect to the data space for data sharing and for consumption of data in a trusted and effective manner. And it will also imply that we are bringing a number of global services that all participants in an i4Trust data space will be able to use, like for instance, marketplaces where the participants will be able to publish their offerings and terms and conditions linked to those offerings, so all the participants can discover and consume their data. Examples of data spaces in real life are a lot and come, as I said, by means of combining and allowing participants who are in principle quite independent to be able to share data and take benefit out of that. So for instance, we might be improving, thanks to data spaces, logistic processes, and doing so because we will enable sharing of data between the logistic companies that are delivering package for incorporating product goods, but interchanging data with the city that may inform about traffic, parking lots for where the vans can park and therefore be more efficient in the delivery, where also you may think about connecting ports with cities and the state of traffic and stuff like that. Data spaces linked to energy, where you are able to connect the grid operators with, for instance, smart buildings that can report on the forecast consumption of energy based on visitors and stuff like that. Also connection with the city, all together aiming at reducing the carbon footprint and the energy consumption. We can think about also livestock farming, where a given service provider may develop a very advanced prediction service for predicting the animal growth based on parameters that a farm management system could share about that are being monitoring the animals, but also taking into account aspects like the weather forecast, which may affect how the animals behave and actually how they grow. Any kind of data space is based on a number of building blocks, and we are going to bring all those that are required for creating data spaces within i4Trust. This is a generic slide. It aligns with some taxonomy of building blocks that experts in the field has recommended or identified as required in any data space you aim to create. There is a recent paper published by a project called OpenDay on design principle for data spaces that actually bring these taxonomy of building blocks. But what we are doing is to materialize this in very concrete technologies, and doing it by means of combining best of the breed technologies coming from fiber and leading open source initiative that was precisely born in Europe, and iShare, a quite reputed organization that have been working along the past years in the precisely the topic about data spaces and trusted data spaces, with a very significant presence in the logistics sector in the Netherlands. We together are joining forces and combining technologies to make data space happen and be available for you. What concrete kind of data spaces? Not any kind. We, as I said, we make technology choices for concrete standards, how to support exchange of trusted and effective exchange of data in the data spaces we will enable. And essentially, this is based on the concept of digital twin. So we are in a very genuine combination of digital twin concept and data spaces bring together in i4Trust. And what essentially i4Trust will enable is the exchange of digital twin data among participants of a data space. And we are bringing for effectiveness the common language that all the participants will use. Common API for exchange of digital twin data. This is the NGS-ILD standard. We are bringing common data models that will ensure that all participants talk about the same things using the same vocabulary, and we bring a trust and security and sovereign of data framework based on iShare specifications implemented with fiber technologies. This is the basis how data spaces developed with i4Trust are created. And during this week, we encourage you to attend the training camp that we are carrying out to give you all the details that you need to know in order to develop and create data spaces using i4Trust technologies. Open technologies, open standards. I will not go into details because it's not the target goal of today, but the message is clear. We are bringing concrete, mature technologies that will avoid that you get locked in a particular technology or a particular vendor, because everything is based on quite mature and established open standards like OpenConnect ID, OpenID Connect, JSON, JSON-LD, Smart Data Models, NGS-ILD, JSON Web Tokens, or DCAT, and all those supported by open source technology. And very important as well, align with the Connecting Europe Facility program, which is, I think, one distinguishable aspect about spyware. Last slide, and with this, I leave the floor again to Rosa. It's not just about technology. We are creating a community around, and the way we are boosting development of this community is first engaging digital innovation hubs, which will help us to develop our mission and reach out target SMEs, which we will incentivize in a first phase through a number of open calls, which will be mobilizing 3,200,000 of grants for SMEs that will join the community. But I guess this is precisely the focus on what Rosa will explain further in detail. So with this, I leave the floor to her. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Juanjo. Okay, I will share my screen.
Yes, you can take control, right? Okay.
Yes, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
We see the screen now.
Thank you very much, Juanjo. So now all of us have a good idea that what is i4Trust and how i4Trust can support you to boost and to create new business around data sharing. And I will explain the first open call. The project has will launch 2 open calls during the execution of the project till October 2023. We will select up to 30 bottom experiments. The selected experiments will join a 9-month customized mentoring program that we will provide support, legal, operational, technology support, but also funding to support the implementation. So the overall amount that we will distribute is 3 million. Each experiment will be funded up to 120,000 euros, depending the number of the members of the consortium. I will explain later that because we are looking for a consortium. The first open call is already in place, was launched in May 12, and the deadline to apply is September the 6th. So what we are looking for? We are looking for experiments proposed by a consortium made up of 1 DIH. The DIH has to be validated in preparation or as fully operational in the S3 catalog, but by the end of the selection process. So we will ask you to be in this catalog when we will start the legal check. That is the last stage of the selection process. So now if you are a DIH and you are not now yet in the catalog, and you are interested to apply in i4Trust, please start this process. We have information to support you in how to apply. We have contacts with DIHnet project that can support you and give you some guidelines in how you can be included in this platform. And also SMEs. Ideally, we will engage 5 SMEs, but we are the minimum of SMEs that are eligible to apply is 3. So 1 DIH and a minimum 3 SMEs or slightly bigger companies. So in this table here, you can see what are the criteria to check the status or the entities. All of these entities have to be registered in one European country, plus UK or the 16 associated countries. So how to apply? The application form and all the application process will be run online through this in this website. Also in this website you can find all the related documents that you should consult and read and understand before applying, and the link to the help desk. I will explain later how you can contact us in case you have doubts or questions. As we are looking for consortium, this is the first of a series of webinars. In this first one, you will get an overview of the i4Trust open call. The second one is a virtual networking event. As I said, we are looking for a consortium, so maybe you are a SME that you want to share data or consume data, and you are looking for partners to apply for our open call. So I will encourage you to join to this virtual network event that will held on July 15. After, by the end of the presentation, Margarita will explain you a bit more about this event. And if you now you have a experiment idea and you have your consortium, you can already apply now. What constitutes a suitable experiment for us? First of all, need to be a consortium, 1 DIH, a minimum 3 SMEs. We don't have any closed domain, so any domain is welcome, and cross-domain experiments are more than welcome. And we don't have defined any challenge. So we are looking for a challenge that solves real-life problems. But we are open to support the challenge that you can propose, and bueno, is clear. Among the standard eligibility criteria that you can find in section 3 of the guide for applicants, we have some specific criteria for this i4Trust project. These 4 are the main important one, but there are others that you should read, understand, and if you have doubts, contact us. And is that the experiments should rely in i4Trust components. So they have to use fireware context brokers and identity and access managed based on iShare specifications and framework. The TRL that is eligible to apply for the experiments is between TRL 3 and TRL 8, both of them inclusive. And we will ask you to have a clear description of the digital twins data that you will share through the project. This is the 4 most important ones, or main ones, but there are another ones that you have to comply. So what happened next? What happened after the submission of your experiment? We will design a 4-step evaluation process. It's a process that we will ensure that it's a fair, transparent with all the applicants. Just after the closing of the open call, we will run the standard eligibility check. I mean, the standard is that the criteria as language of the proposal must to be in English, registered country or where the entities are registered. All these criteria are in section 3. And I have to say that even in this first part, we check among these criteria is a standard one. But the experiments should comply with the eligibility criteria in any moment or any time of the evaluation process. With this first list of eligible proposals, the eligible proposals move to the next step of the evaluation process. That this eligible proposal will evaluate by 3 independent experts, or each proposal 3 independent experts, and these experts will run and will score your proposals against the 3 main evaluation criteria. That's excellence, that is excellence, implementation, and impact. You have a complete description that we are looking for under these 3 criteria in section 4 of the guide for applicants. They will provide a ranked list for the consortium partners to, by consensus, select the ones that will move to the next phase of the evaluation process. So the up to 32 best ranked proposals will be invited to pitch in front of a jury during the selection days. Due to COVID this year, the selection day will run virtual, and will be 2 days where the experiments will have time to pitch and reply questions from the jury. The jury is composed by 3 independent experts, plus the committee, plus the i4Trust partners, and some members of the Industrial Advisory Board. So they will decide, deliver, and select the ones that will be invited to sign the subgrant agreement and join the mentoring program. Before the signing the agreement, and between signing the agreement and the selection day, we will run another eligibility check. It's a legal check. We will ask you to provide some legal formal documents to check the status of the entities that are part of the consortium, SMEs, slightly bigger companies, if the DIH is already in the catalog, as I mentioned before. And once the positive validated, we'll sign the agreement with the partners and we'll invite it to be part of the mentoring program. And Rajiv will explain a bit the mentoring program and the benefits. So some reminders, only applications or only experiments that apply through our platform will be evaluated. We can also assess the information that we have through this website. It's important to read first the guide for applicants and the frequently asked questions. If you have some doubts, you can contact us anytime. The completeness of the form is very important. It's not only just all the sections that are marked with the red asterisk are mandatory, but we need the proper information to be able to assess. So one sentence description maybe is not enough for our experts to assess, and if they don't have enough information to assess your experiment, maybe your experiment can draw up of the selection process. All of these procedures are explained in Guide for Applicants, as I said. Some important question is the submission of the application. You will be able to submit your application at any time. And we recommend that that you submit your application as soon as possible to avoid last technical issues at the end of the process. So you can submit your application until the end of the open call, you will be able to update, to improve, to change. So as soon as you fill all the section, submit, and you always can go back to the application and improve it. So you will avoid these technical issues at the end. Here you can find some links and additional resources that you can check. We run a training program for DIH, but also for SMEs. You can find all the sessions and other information that we produce in the project in our YouTube channel under this link here, and also all the slides in SlideShare under this link here. To support you during the application process, we have an open call help desk. You can contact in two main ways. Join our community, and we have in our community a specific space to ask questions and share with others, but also you can contact us by email in this email address here. As mentioned, this is the first webinar of a series. Next one will be the virtual networking event in July 15. You are welcome to join, and Margarita will explain a bit how we will work with the event by the end of the presentation. This is pretty much from my side. Now Rajiv will introduce and explain what is i4Trust mentoring program and what i4Trust offers to the selected experiments. Rajiv? Hi, Rajiv.
Hi, everyone. I think you can see my screen.
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Rajiv.
Yeah, okay, let me put it in the presentation mode. Hello, everyone. Yeah, as my colleagues explained, I will just briefly explain you what i4Trust will mean for you and what we do in the mentoring phase once your proposal has been selected. Then what we present to you is a customized mentoring program which runs for 9 months, where we will provide you support in terms of implementation, knowledge building, the work, upskilling in the i4Trust technologies, as explained by Juanjo. We of course also bring the open source components in i4Trust that has been developed and ready to use for participants to implement and create the solution to help them in sharing data and creating new business services around it. But not only technology, we also bring the trust framework, which has the legal aspects considered in the solution. So you get, as was explained in the data space terms, within a data space, you can trust each other in such a manner that you can exchange data and still remain in control of your data even after it is shared with another organization. So that also gives you the data sovereignty, and everything is covered technically as well, but as well on the legal with the legal framework behind it. And of course, under the open call, you also get the funding, and it can range from 72,000 euros to 120,000 euros. But let's see. Okay, let's take a little step back and how we see an overall journey from SME's perspective. So first stage, what we see is discover, and in the discovery phase, the SMEs discover what is i4Trust, and at high level understand what it can mean for them, how it can help improve their business processes, bring efficiencies, create new business opportunities based on sharing data. And of course, from our perspective, we are running these kind of webinars and training sessions to generate awareness, so that SMEs like you can be interested and get a bit better understanding of what we bring in, what it means to you when it comes to i4Trust. Right. Then based on the interest you generate that is generated, you participate, that you can do it by joining the community that Rosa was just talking about. We have this whole i4Trust Spaces community where you can join and connect with SMEs and DIHs, and with us as well, of course, where we help you answer your questions, but also when you're participating, you can learn, and you can ask more questions as you go along. And of course, participate in the open call by making a proposal on which you want to share data and where you want to use i4Trust. Right. Once your project is selected, you are in the implementation phase, where you implement your proposed solution using i4Trust technology and the framework, and we guide you throughout that implementation phase, and that is what this mentoring phase is all about, where we will also provide you mentoring. I'll explain that a bit in detail in next slide. And of course, last but not least is that we just don't want you to run an experiment and just test it, but we want to sustain the solution that you create, and take benefit of it, not only now but also in future, and keep on adding new business services on top of that solution, right? So that's a sustainability part. So let's have a look at what the mentoring program means and what it means when you join i4Trust. So you can see there are two things. One, on the left side is what we expect, the tasks that you will perform in each stages, and on the right you see the facilitation that we provide during those stages as i4Trust core partners. Right. So let's first have a look at briefly look at the tasks that you would perform. Once your project is selected and you are in the your proposals are selected, you start with the project, and the first step is of course the onboarding, where a further detailing of your functional scoping, solutions, and technical designs are created, and the scope is determined so that we know, okay, within this program, this is the scope of the work that needs to be done by you, or implementation, so that your solution is meaningful and it achieves the desired benefit that you have foreseen. Then of course, once we define the scope, then the next stage comes in the use case planning. So we would like to also help you in creating the backlog, but also prioritizing it and making a plan. Okay, in this phase, what is realistic plan in terms of implementation, and how does it fit with your desired goal of creating the solution, right? Or taking the benefit of the solution. Then comes the actual development and the implementation. So you develop the proof of concept, you do the pilots there. So the idea is at least to bring until TRL 8, as it was mentioned, that it's near production ready. Of course, you can also move that directly into production, and you will get all the support that's necessary in those terms. But what also happens is in production, it's not only you, but it's a combination of a lot of things, because you are not working alone, but you are working in together with other parties. So every other party also needs to align and get to the production at the same time to really make data sharing possible. So there is also this aftercare phase, where beyond this project, when you want to sustain beyond this project and you want to continue exploring the i4Trust framework further for your future use cases. This aftercare process is where we will define along together with you, okay, how do we take the next steps forward. So it's not like once your experiment is successful, we leave it at that, but we can still be in touch, of course, based on your requirements, and we can continue working together even beyond the project in a different setting. So this is what we expect from you, but at the same time, now I'll explain what we are going to facilitate you along these phases. So as you can see in onboarding, we provide you with every proposal that is selected and is becoming a project will be assigned one mentor from i4Trust core partners, right? And this mentor is your go-to person from the core partners, who will be working along with you in all these phases and helping you and guiding you based on the experience how these projects should function, or how these projects will be developed further. And once the mentor is allocated, the first in the onboarding phase itself, together with the mentor, you will create an mentoring plan, so that and there would be regular touch points throughout the project implementation phases to make sure that you get enough support from that is needed from our end, and to make sure that you understand what i4Trust framework, how it can benefit you in your solutions, right? Then in the use case planning phases, where once you have the scope and designs are clear, so we also know what benefits you will have. We'll also have some events where you can find synergies between other experiments that are working together, because there could be experiments which are related in some ways, and your solution could also draw synergy from another solution, and we can look at the larger pictures as well, the opportunities on the larger picture as well, where combination of those solutions in future could also mean further improvement on the business processes or opportunities that it presents, right? So and that gives you the opportunity to link with upstream or downstream, but also the peers of in the industry. So those kind of opportunities will be presented. And of course, last but not least, as I mentioned, that we want also that after this project, we want you to sustain the solution that has been created, and the data spaces have to be created and sustained forever. So we also provide you with some fundraising events where you can also apply for future funding possibilities to continue exploring the new knowledge and new technology framework that you have developed and that you have implemented, but also expanding it beyond the scope of this project. How you take the next steps, right? And so there, the mentor can also help you in exploring what future steps are needed in order to further expand on different other solutions which are beyond the scope of this project. Yeah, right. So this is from our perspective the mentoring program, and we are really looking forward to work with you in i4Trust journey. And this is it from my side. I hand over back to Rosa now.
Hi, Rajiv. Thank you very much, Rajiv, for your presentation. So now it's time for the questions. Margarita, did you?
Hi, Rosa. Yes, we have a couple of questions coming in, a few actually. I'll start with those that I'd like to assign first to Rajiv. Is the mentoring program for all the SMEs or just for the coordinator of the project?
No, it's for the whole consortium. So each selected consortium, I mean, once you submit a proposal as a consortium, and once the selection happens, then you are in the project phase, and in that project phase, you will be assigned a mentor.
Great. Great. And can we have a link with more details on the infrastructure requirements when we submit the proposal? I believe the details of that is in the open call website, in the guide for applicants, and in the template for the application.
Can you repeat again the question? What?
Can we provide a link with more details on the infrastructure requirements when we submit a proposal?
All the details to apply for the proposal, the eligibility criteria, the technology, and so on is in the guide for applicants and also in the application form. But also in our website and in YouTube channel, they have more information regarding the technologies and infrastructure. Rajiv?
Yeah, no. So yeah, a good question. So we expect that you, as a consortium, also there is open source components available from our perspective, and there are some instances like marketplace that is there, and we can you can use that for testing and doing proof of concept. But of course, we expect that you implement the components on your end based on the participants of your consortium. So there will be some requirements that you have some of those infrastructure capacity, and you can find all the details of that, technical details of each component on the i4Trust GitHub.
Great, thank you. Is it possible? Sorry. There's a few more questions coming in. At the S3 platform, I see a hub in our city that is in evolutionary state, potential DIHs from H2020. Is this DIH eligible, and shall we collaborate with a local hub, or can we work with any DIH in Europe?
If it's in a stationary state, is now, because the DIH has to be fully operational or in preparation in October 2021, when we prepare the formal check. So a stationary state is a step below in preparation. So now he will not sign or he will not receive funding through this open call. But you can be part of a consortium with SMEs and DIH for all around Europe. I mean, you don't need to apply with the DIH in your region. In fact, we encourage cross-border applications. It's not mandatory, but we will do that. If you want to apply, you have an idea to present, and you are looking for partners, we will invite you to the virtual network event next month in July 25, because there's some DIH will show their challenge that they want to use to apply in i4Trust, and we will try to connect. We will make an effort to connect the SMEs and DIH that are looking for partners who want to apply to our open call.
Great. And then we have another question, which is it possible to have in the same consortium companies coming from the same group of companies?
The same, sorry, linked entities. Yeah, but we will check. I have to check with legal this question. When we check the status of the SMEs, we will check the overall structure of the company. So if it's an SME built with another SMEs, that, yeah, I will write down this question. Maybe if you can contact and ask this question through to the email, because I need to contact to ask our legal department this question, because I can say see if all of them are SMEs, but we have to have the approval of legal and understand the links between these companies to have a final reply.
Great. Where can I find the associated country members? Is Switzerland one of them?
Switzerland is one of them. In the guide for applicants, we have a link to the to the all associate countries, but Switzerland is one of them. So yeah, you can apply.
Great. What is the funding rate for the project? Is it 100% or 70%?
It's 100%. But except, yeah, it's 100%. We have a limit for the DIH, so the DIH, depending on the number of entities in the consortium, for the minimum consortium, that is 1 DIH and 3 SMEs, the funding available is 72,000 euros. And we have a restriction to the DIH. So the DIH only can receive up to 18,000, and the rest of the amount will be distributed between the different partners, depending on the work that they should carry out during the implementation of the project. But it's 100%. Yeah.
Great. And will there be another training session for DIHs before the starting of funded experiments?
No, but all the training sessions are available through the YouTube channel, so you can just use it. And if you are interested, because one of the side benefits of participate in this training program is that after the training program, you are invited to get a fireware expert certificate, so you can use and do by your own the training program. And then if you are interested to be part of fireware expert network, you can ask for an exam. We will try to make some batch of exams during the execution, but all the material for the training program are in YouTube. As Juanjo mentioned, now they are running also a virtual training program. It's more focusing in SMEs, but also DIH are invited, and it's during this week. We can send. I will send the registration link through the chat.
Great. Rajiv, we have a question about if we come with other standards such as DID W3C, is this acceptable?
Yes, it is acceptable, but as was mentioned earlier, that we have this selection criteria because we bring, in our view, a sort of complete solution. In terms of i4Trust, the components of hardware and iShare. If you still think that there is still room for additional standards to be used, of course you are free to use them, but make sure that you use the basic components that are required for you to participate under i4Trust Open Forum.
Great, thank you, Walid. Rajiv, and we have another question. Sorry, the questions are moving down. The data shared in the experiment will be open to all i4Trust partners or will remain shared only within the consortium?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
The data that is shared in the experiment will be open to all i4Trust partners or will remain shared only within the respective consortiums?
No, so you create a solution in terms of the consortium members are interested in sharing data, right? So they share data with each other and potentially also with other partners, not necessarily in i4Trust, the other members of i4Trust, but it can be, yeah, that's an option. But we expect that once you create the solution, you don't only share it within the consortium, but you also expand it to your clients or vendors, as the case may be required.
Great. There's a lot of mention about digital twins of things. Is interested limited in digital twin of humans, such as data would be personal data for health and well-being?
No, sorry, can you repeat the first part of the question?
There is a lot of mention about digital twins of things. Is interest limited in digital twin of humans, such as data would be personal data for health and well-being? And if Thomas, you are still with us in this call, feel free to jump in and expound if you'd like to expound on your question.
Yeah. Okay, so if I understand this, then as we mentioned earlier, that we are not closed for any domains or any challenges per se. So that means that it's not digital twin data only of things, but it can be of anything or any person or whatever you can imagine of. Of course, it has to be in the form of sharing data, and that sharing of data enables you to either bring efficiencies or create new business opportunities. There has to be some benefit for the organizations involved. That's the only criteria for defining the challenge, and it should be as Rosa mentioned, it should be a challenge which you want to solve in real world. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, and to everyone who, if we don't get to all the questions or you'd like to expand on your question, please do feel free to connect with us in any of the resources. Can we have academic partner authorities in the consortium or only SMEs?
They can, yes, an academic entity can, or non-SMEs can be part of the consortium. However, they are not eligible to receive funds. The consortium can be built up any entity, corporates, academy, but the funds are only for those that are eligible. So it's SMEs, slightly bigger companies, and DIH. But yes, they can apply and be part of the consortium.
Great. Is the Fireware Expert accreditation personally binded to a physical person? Does a physical tag come with it?
I think we don't have one here.
Yes, I'm sorry, Harris will.
It's only for the person who passed the exam, but maybe Juanjo will be
Yes.
want to reply.
And
But you can
okay,
contact us to the help desk or the community, so we'll be glad to answer this question of I4.
great. So the next question is actually about the next event, which is perfect transition to the last section of our webinar. But before we jump into that, I just want to answer out loud some of the questions that were asked earlier. The slides and the recording will be uploaded on our YouTube site and will be uploaded in the open call website. The S3 catalog
Sure.
the link is also available in our guide for applicants of the S3 platform. And finally, we do welcome all SMEs and slightly bigger companies from any industry that are registered in the EU states and associated countries. So to the person who asked if it can be any kind of company, manufacturing, etc., we do welcome you. So yes, I think, Rosa, shall we jump to the last section since we are...
Yes, I think it's the perfect timing.
Perfect. Great. So if you can just keep sharing your screen, Rosa, I think that should be fine. So hi everyone, I'm Margarita and I work with Rosa on the project management team at Funding Box. Before we end today's webinar, we'd just like you to invite you to stay tuned for our upcoming networking event. As we mentioned earlier, next slide please. As we mentioned earlier, only a consortium made up of one digital innovation hub and at least 3 SMEs are eligible to apply for the open call. Thus, if you're interested in this open call and would like to network and meet with other SMEs and other digital innovation hubs, we invite you to come and take a seat in our virtual networking lounge. At this event, we invite the SMEs to share their business challenges and digital innovation hubs to share their insights and expertise on how to support SMEs with prospective data sharing experiments. So don't miss this chance to meet, form a consortium, and apply to the open call for an opportunity to receive all the benefits that we mentioned earlier. And last slide, Rosa. So save the date. The date will be July 15 from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. We will share more details in the coming week in our social media, in our websites. So please don't forget to follow us and join our online community. So that's it for me.
Okay, thank you very much, Margarita. I think it's pretty much that we want to share today. Thank you all of you to join this webinar, and don't miss the opportunity to meet other partners or potential partners if you are interested to apply for i4Trust Open Call. After the webinar, we will share a survey, and you will find all more information, and we want to receive your feedback regarding the webinar, and also if you are interested in apply, how can we support you in this process. Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye bye.